Part 3, General Purpose Costing System. The General Purpose Costing System has been used for the Interstate Commerce Mission to estimate the variable cost of the performance of the railroad. Several past variable costs that have been used in numerous regulatory proceedings, such as defining whether the Interstate Commerce has jurisdiction to make sure rate or determine off the branch cost of the abandonment proceedings. Consider amount of the material that is issued with affecting the general purpose cost system that has been organized in the following chapter. The effective of the Railroad Act, accounting principle of the railroad form A, uniform rail costing system, and the regression analysis and issues and information requirements. This is the next chapter, part 13. Chapter 15 describes the railroad accounting principles after the general purchasing cost system used by the Interstate Commerce Commission. Also provided the background information nature of the source for the cost system, purpose for which they are used. Chapter 16, 17, 18 provided with the rationale which support the conclusion presented with the chapter 15. Such instances, the railroad accounting principle was unable to resolve the issue with the basis of available information. In such instances, the railroad accounting principle board recommends the information be compiled with the use of the Interstate Commerce Commission, starting with the point of additional research efforts. Effective of the railroad accounting principle, the general purchasing cost system is usually estimated value with the cost of performing railroad service to numerous regulatory applications. Regulatory application for the general purchase cost system consists of such as initiating interstate commerce commission jurisdiction for setting the maximum rates, computing the cost recovery percentage, estimating the off branch cost for the abandonment, the subcharge proceeding, computing the directly variable cost of using the minimum rate of long canon proceedings, establishing certain costs eliminates maximum rate of competitive proceeding. The total variable cost of representing the intermediate time orientation such as the typical, including the proportion of the capacity related with the capital cost, the overhead of the cost, variable cost. Because of the general purchasing cost system, variable costs contain both long-term and short-term cost elements. The general purchasing cost system costs are often substituted either long-term or short-term cost when practicable, computing more accurate with the cost of directly the railroad accounting principle will be used limited with the general purchasing cost system of the RFA or the Uniform Railroad Costing System. Both systems are developed by the Interstate Commerce Commission, specifically regulatory cost application. The Uniform Cost System is developed by and tested. Consequently, the revision and regression of the equation with the found necessary result for the regression testing could be made within the framework of the existing Uniform Railway Costing System that enables the replacement of the General Purchase and Costing System for the RFA to be implemented relatively quickly. Even though the Railroad Accounting Principal Board supplements solicited comments alternative to the Railroad FRA, the Uniform Railroad Costing System, the General Purchasing Cost System, not alternatively identified, the Railroad Accounting Board are aware of the comments. Some of the econometricians response to the interstate initiative request for the comments would suggest that the alternative to the Uniform Railroad Costing System should be pursued, but the econometrics suggest that the Uniform Railroad Costing System the fundamental programs and the basic formulation cannot be redressed. Simply modify a regression equation. For example, some of the content of the Uniform Railroad Costing System does not use the state-of-the-art economical metric technology that it also is incorporated the essential aspect of sound economics. The cost mode, some of the economics have been proposed. The econometric models ranging from very simple to very complex. Often others propose hybrid models incorporated with the economical engineering aspects. Without addressing validity of the concern with the expressed with the Railroad Accounting Principal Board relieved the RFA with the RICS having several potential advantages for the alternative model proposed. Simply economical metric model may not be suited for that accurate estimation of individual movement of the cost. The complex econometrical module is requiring additional information. Additional reporting requirements may be difficult to justify the face of liquid application of the general purpose costing, which while such models may be theoretically preferable, complex system that is not easily applied by understanding community with the use of the rail cost must be questionable value. The general purchase cost system cost estimates normally obtained by the applying with the regression analysis expense for the output measure of the resulting quantities identified with the proper operation of the expense for the each of the account group of the change with the response for the changes output for the expense of the information group on the basis of the exemption with the how specific expense relate outcome and then pull the expense of the information for the using the equating the operation expense related reported by the according by the government general accepted accounting principles output measure with the as well as the annual expense of the reported by the Interstate Commerce Commission and the R1 by the committee with the specific special studies information the regression and analysis performed using the pooled data consisting of the both time series and some equation 5 single years and the cross sectional consisting of all cross class 1 railroad data. The selection of the equation is economical validity regression determined through the one logical explanation of causal relationship, the result with the significant with the measure that accept the statistical test, and 3 judgment experience with the researcher. The 2 methods of applying the results of statistical equations have been proposed. The first use the result with the regression analysis to segregate the variable portion for the total cost. Historical segregation has performed the existing general purchase cost system through either the cost of the elastic percent variable method of variable determination. The second use of the consideration is derivable directly from the regression equation as unit variable cost. The more detailed discussion is issued presented with the chapter 7th. Once the variable cost of each of the account that has been segregated with the total cost, they are divided with the appropriate output measure to obtain the variable unit cost. The variable unit costs are multiplied by the appropriate measure for the output called service units and are submitted each of the specific amount of the goods to determine the variable cost of providing services. Alright, the effects on the railroad accounting principles. 6 principles: casual data integrity and e-cost, capital assets valuation, related expenses, productivity have clear to direct impact on the the general purchasing costing system. Other principles, homogeneity and practicality, and somewhat less clear possibility contradict impact with the general purchase and cost system. The principles impose with the conflicting requirement of the regression equation selected with the form information requirement of the general purchasing cost. Alright, the causality principle indicates that either the cost of elasticity, the cost efficiency method should be used to measure how cost can change the perspective of the output. The more practical reason for the cost efficiency method has been rejected because of the incompatibility with the RFA and the URCS. Data integrity principles indicate the one regularity reported expense to output information used by the general purchasing costing system should be added periodically to estimate and ensure the information integrity information used by the establishing equation for the use of the general purchasing cost system should be audited periodically. 3. The special study information should be reviewed and updated periodically to ensure the validity of accuracy. Entity principle indicates the railroad entity with all specific regulatory applications should consist of the consolidated combined activities of affiliated railroad with railroad related affiliates. However, the particular region was associated with the cost implementation to provide additional data to the points of the regression analysis. The Railroad Accounting Principle Board recommends that now the Interstate Commerce Commission permits the railroad to continue with the present reporting the entity of the government general purchasing costing system. Should the future consolidated railroad operating entities result in the material loss of the data points, discrete information reconsideration, geographical costs, and center accounting, the transportation maintenance of the weight expense may be required costs. The center accounting information may be required in any case the media requirement for the homogeneous principle for the collection of sufficiently disaggregated data to support the economically accurate costing. The cost of the capital principle indicates the current nominal cost of the capital rate with most economically accurate measurements. Railroad Accounting Principle document recognized the Interstate Commerce Act requires the use of the embedded data rate determination for the cost rate recovery percentage since the adoption of the economically accurate measure determined by the Railroad Accounting Principle Board defers the Interstate Commerce Commission should pursue whether the administrative legislative remedies are necessary to permit use. Asset valuation related to expense of the net invest space for the use of the government, general purpose costing system for the cost of the capital component should be consistent with the net assets less accumulated deferred tax credit plus allowance with the working capital determined with the net assets. The Railroad Accounting Principle Board determined that this accountment more economically accurate with the Railroad Retirement Betterment accounting. General purpose cost system may be used by the general accounting accepted accountants assess a cost of reasonable practicality. However, the more meaningful measure of the value may be performed using the further specific regulatory purposes. Productivity cost is used in adjust the cost for the should include the appropriate productivity adjustment. This issue is discussed in greater detail in Chapter 18, Information Requirements. Indirect effects principle, the application of homogeneity practical principle indirectly affects the determination appropriate the general purchase costing system algebra regression analysis techniques information requirements. The Railroad Accounting Principle Board makes several recommendations based on the application of the principle. Interstate Commerce has developed the uniform railroad cost system to replace the RFA model of the current use of the Railroad Accounting Principle Board has used the Uniform Railroad Costing System, positive step toward the development of the economically accurate general purpose costing system. Specific areas the Unified Railroad Costing System requires the study of the Railroad Accounting Principle Board. Some of these areas involving the Uniform Railroad Costing System regression of all analysts below they discuss the greater than detail remaining the chapters. The Railroad Accounting Principle Board believed that the cost of the general purpose costing system derived the individual railroad data with the most economically accurate. However, they concluded with the individual cost of elasticity derived from the national poll data accepted. The Railroad Accounting Principle Board provides a discussion for the rational supporting the determination, Chapter 17, the regression analysis issues. Railroad Accounting Principle Board recommends further study shall be undertaken by the Interstate Commerce Committee with the implementation of a uniform railroad costing system following errors, testing all alternative regression equation forms from linear and nonlinear alternative independent variables, testing both size and density of the separate independent variable size and density hybrid variables and growth times of the first significance. The Railroad Accounting Principle Board believes that the study should be completed within 18 months of the submission of the report. The Railroad Accounting Principle Board determined that the general purchase costing system of the interstate commerce should be permitted the Class 1 railroads to continue their present R1 reporting requirements for the forms of the practical principle regarding the cost of the implementation change. However, the Railroad Accounting Principle Board does not include the precluded substitution for the more accurate information-specific regulatory use of the general purchase costing system. The Railroad Accounting Principle was recommended with the material directly affected the railroad finding RFA of the Uniform Railroad Costing System with methodology to input the computable variable cost. The most significant use of the general purchase costing system variable cost determine the interstate commerce jurisdiction and maximum rate responsible proceeding with comparing revenue variable cost ratios to statutory mandated standard CRPs are commonly referred to as just jurisdictional thresholds. Most of the parties commented that the transitional mechanism should be developed and avoid change by the amount of traffic subjection and regulation implementation of Railroad Accounting Principle Board for the general purpose costing system. Comments varied on the role the Railroad Accounting Principle Board should play with developing such transition mechanism with the criteria of the use of the Congress and establish the state Staggered Rail Act revenue variable cost percentages. Other estimates indicate that the change would be the cause of the 13% of the increase of the value of the railroad, increase the expense of the cost of the capital for $23.3 billion using existing methodology, $26.4 billion, while other estimates indicate greater or lesser effects. In any case, the effects of the variable costs are likely to be significant. The Railroad Accounting Principle Board recommends that the Interstate Commerce Commission implement transition mechanism upon the implementation of the Railroad Accounting Principles. That the Railroad Accounting Principles are not addressed with approach is preferable. Several approaches are described below to illustrate the practical procedures appear readily available. Compute the revenue variable cost percentage resulting in a new general purchasing cost method that maintains the same relative difference between the revenue variable cost percentage and the variable adequacy revenue variable cost percentage age applications described in the Staggered Rail Act. Compute the railroad industry average revenue variable cost percentage resulting from the old general purpose costing methodology multiplying the ratio by the Staggered Rail Act revenue variable cost percentages to obtain the adjustable threshold. Compute the percentage of the traffic presenting the fall below the Standard Rail Act revenue variable cost percentage to determine the revenue variable cost the percentage based on the revised general purpose costing system, which results in the same percentage of the traffic failing but the Staggered Rail Act revenue variable cost percentage. As other approaches are possible, the Railroad Accounting Principle Board does not suggest that one of these approaches must be adopted. For the discussion report issues that are presented in Chapter 18, Information Requirements. Rail Form A and Uniform Rail Costing System.